12-team, full PPR mock draft. I'm going from right smack dab in the middle of the board with the 6th pick. And let's try to do something crazy. Let's have a great draft. Chase, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs starting us off. That Gibbs-Barkley conversation ends up being interesting for people. And in full PPR, sometimes the answer is Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb. You just never do know. To me, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb this time because that's who dropped. I think I like CeeDee Lamb possibly as the number 3 player in PPR, so I'll take him at 6 for sure. And I think that's where the tier break is. Nothing against the Lions and Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I just think there's a little bit more upside for the 3 receivers ahead of him to command. And like Amon-Ra is going to get a ton of targets, but you do have J-Mo, you do have Gibbs, you do have Laporta. You've got Isaac Tesla. I mean, you got a lot of bodies on that offense. I like Amon-Ra quite a bit. Neighbors is the interesting one because if the quarterback stuff is good enough for him, he vaults into that top 4. And I prefer him over Collins. I prefer him over Puka usually, but if Stafford's healthy, that's probably wrong. Amon-Ra's barely going to be drafted in the first round at this rate. He goes 11. That's a good pick. I want to see Team 11 nail the second round pick, though, so that I can rave about him getting good value on Amon-Ra and then hitting the next one. All right, who you got? Let's see it. Probably a running back. Maybe Bowers. Maybe he goes back-to-back wideouts. A reach on Josh Allen. Anything is possible when you're on the clock at 2.2. Hit that like button. I know we don't have quite as many viewers at this point, but we can get to 20 likes, I believe. I believe it in my heart. It is back-to-back wide receivers, A.J. Brown. Well, I feel even better about my 3.2. What was I? The second pick of the third round last time took A.J. Brown. It was half-point PPR, so it's a little different. McCaffrey, Derrick Henry is a whole vibe from the dad. I don't know if I would have the stones to do it. Not in full PPR, I wouldn't. Half PPR? Yeah, I would, because Henry should be, he'd be going way higher. That's interesting, though. I mean, hey, double RB, double hero RB, that's certainly probably a very good way to go here in 2025. But it's not the way I get to go because I went CeeDee Lamb. I could have gone McCaffrey. I just think the value of it is depleted. You've got to be closer to the turn where you can get McCaffrey and double back with Achane or Henry or Genty. Or you have to be in that Bijan, Gibbs, Barkley range in the top 5 or 6. Like, I could be 6, but I just didn't get a chance at any of those guys this time. And then coming back, you could take Josh Jacobs. You could take, whoever you take. Middle of the second round, though, Josh Jacobs would be a really good pick. I'll take Bowers, though. I might do it this time and go full 0 RB because it would be good for the video if I did. Not to say that I would, try to do less than my best strategy. But if 0 RB comes naturally, I can post one that says, hey, this is a real 0 RB video. See what you think about the strategy. We'll see if that works out. Barkley, Chase Brown. Chase Brown keeps getting pushed up. My most rostered player on Best Ball and Underdog is actually not Chase Brown anymore. I have the most money invested in Chase Brown. I think I have a higher percentage of Braylon Allen now, but it was on smaller contests to get me there. But I've got over 30% Chase Brown. He is by far my most rostered player. My highest exposure in terms of dollars. But I had taken a lot of Braylon Allen. I honestly haven't done any best ball the last few days because I've been doing this with you guys. Probably losing myself some big tournament winnings from that. Micah, 3 running backs is more than you need, but I will understand that you are going to own the monopoly on the position. Bijan, Kyron, and then Cook in your flex. I mean, if you find 3 sexy little receivers to pair up with those 3 running backs, you might have a stew brewing, but I just can't go. I can't go over super duper robust at RB. Not when it's so easy to replicate on waivers. Not easy, but it's certainly doable. All right, Breece Hall is there. Omarion Hampton. I'm not going running back. Lamar Jackson. Do we do it? Do we really go 0 RB all the way through? Middle of the third is not a bad value for Lamar Jackson. Yeah, we'll take him. We'll take Lamar. So what I was thinking about and debating doing is saying, Brenden, you like the 4 quarterbacks. You like Daniels the best at his normal ADP at the 3-4 turn, but you also would take Jalen Hurts if he came back to you in the 4th. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought, if he doesn't come back to me, it's going to ruin the whole thing. And so let's just lock in a guy that I know is great, and it's Lamar Jackson. So I have done the uncomfortable thing of clearly we're going 0 RB. It's full PPR, and I've got 1 receiver after 3 rounds, no running backs, but I have locked up my onesie positions. Tight end, got the best one. Quarterback, I got the best one or the second best or the third best one. Jaden Daniels went about where he normally does. I would have been sweating out, hoping that Hurts could get back to me. And then when I looked at the top of the list of receivers and saw Tyreek Hill, I was like, it's not the time to be doing this. If Marvin Harrison had fallen, if JSN had fallen, then you maybe do it. Higgins was not. I wasn't going to take him. And I would say that, of course, there could still be a wide receiver run here in the 4th round as Metcalf goes. For me, I was not going to miss out on any receivers that go between my Jackson pick in the 3rd and whatever I take at 4.7. Like the 5 of you could pick receivers, and I would still have a receiver that I like just well enough. So was it worth it to try to push the QB pick from Lamar to Hurts? And Hurts doesn't make it, but even if he did, it's not worth it because I didn't gain that much of an upgrade at receiver. Like, I'm not into Tyreek Hill. I'm not into Metcalf. I'm agnostic on Higgins. And those are the wide receivers that have gone. So I'm not going to miss out on any. Like, frankly, I'd rather be picking a little bit later in the 4th round to feel like I'm not reaching on ADP. Everybody goes, well, you're just going to take Xavier Worthy. What's it matter? Yeah, because when I look at the list, I don't love Evans just because of age. I don't love Garrett Wilson just because of the volume in the passing offense, not trusting Justin Fields. McLaurin, if I was stacking with Daniels, is a different story, but I think he had a lot of fantasy points last year from explosive plays, and if he doesn't replicate it, you may not be able to have that same result. Devontae Adams is the one guy that I do take on occasion, and I'm scared to, but I do it with enough frequency. Rashee Rice, I can't. The suspension stuff is really scary because you don't know when it's coming or how long it's going to be. DJ Moore is not really the Bears receiver that I want, and so, yeah, more often than not, it's Xavier Worthy, but just to shut you guys up, I'll take Tetairoa McMillan this time because you weren't going to let him back to me. He's consistently gone at the end of the 4th round, and so I'll say, all right, fine. I wasn't getting him in the 5th, even though ADP would suggest, if he's at 59th on their list of rankings, that means he's supposed to go toward the back of the 5th round, and that just doesn't happen. So let's take the rookie wide receiver, Tetairoa McMillan. He's going to be my wide receiver 2 behind CeeDee Lamb. I've got an elite tight end and an elite quarterback, and this is the way you do 0 RB if you're going to do it. I lose Worthy, but that's just fine. I've drafted him in every other mock. And when what's funny is I've gotten into a rhythm of feeling very safe and comfortable with the mocks and Xavier Worthy. I don't know if I'll draft him in the real drafts when push comes to shove. I just don't really know yet. Because he's in that range of guys that really, they're all 5th round receivers. And I'm going to get one of them here because there's 3 picks left and I've got 5 guys I like. J-Mo's one of them, but that's okay because I took him in the last one. And Trevor likes J-Mo too. We're always in lockstep with that. Devontae Smith goes. Here is when I am comfortable taking Rashee Rice. McMillan wouldn't have made it back to me, but the risk with Rice as my 3 feels a lot more suitable. But, whoa, hold on. Zay Flowers would be a stack. So, what do I do? Do I force the stack? It's probably smarter to take Zay Flowers. But I clicked Rashee Rice's name. I think with stacks, and let me know what you guys think about this when it comes to, should I have gone Flowers? Knowing I've got Jackson, would you have gone Flowers or would you have gone Rice? Trevor says, I sniped Tetairoa from him, is what I assume being shot feels like. Yeah, I didn't realize that Trevor was to my left there because he would have taken him for sure. Okay, so let's break this down. Zay Flowers, the stack with Lamar. I'm taking Lamar because Lamar's going to run the ball a bunch and score touchdowns on the ground. He'll throw a bunch of touchdowns. He's just going to be great. I'm not doing it specifically because I'm like, oh, I have to have Lamar's number 1 pass catcher. It would have been really easy, and like the more I end up looking at my team, the more I might say, hey, in a real thing, go ahead and lean into that stack because it literally fell into my lap. It wasn't like I was trying to produce it. It was just there. Rice is interesting, though, because I think if he weren't going to be suspended, he's a 3rd-round pick. Like he's going where JSN is going if Rice weren't suspended. And guess what? I'm going to make the fantasy playoffs. That's my attitude every time I'm in a draft. So what are we sitting here talking about weeks 1 through 14 as though I'm not going to at least get enough wins to make the playoffs, and then Rice should be in my lineup. Rice, I would rather have week 15, 16, 17 than Flowers, maybe even with the stack. But what's going to be interesting is, and Trev says, hey, I would have gone Flowers, and it's not wrong. Like, it very well might have been the right pick. But I think Rice is a legitimate wide receiver 1. I mean, he's Amon-Ra St. Brown with Mahomes as his quarterback. So when I'm thinking about the fantasy playoffs, that was my reasoning of like, man, Rashee Rice would be a lot of fun in that context. Flowers doesn't always smash. He doesn't always get that volume. Maybe this is the year where, he levels up. Hit that like button, by the way. We got 30 viewers. Appreciate that. I want to look at Zay Flowers' stats for a minute because I'm not remembering. He's had some games where he gets volume, but brother played 17 games last year and had 74 receptions. It's this PPR. That would never happen with Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice might have had 74 receptions in the 3 games he played last year. I mean, it was outrageous. So it's okay. That's what it's about sometimes. You guys are all saying you'd take Flowers. I'm not sure. I think Rice, he's my wide receiver 3. If I can get to the playoffs, I feel pretty good about that because Flowers is not this volume king. All right, I'm looking at running backs, but I shouldn't be because I told you I was going to go 0 RB. But you guys took Addison, you took Adunze, so that's a killer. Judy, Olave, 5 seconds. Let's take Olave. Could have gone back to the well on Igbuka, and he goes right after me, so maybe that was the pick. But with having Rashee Rice on the team, and so this is part of it, right? I think my team would be better. I'll admit it now. Flowers and Igbuka over Rice Olave would have been more comfortable because when I'm passing on Igbuka, I'm going, what if the early weeks he's not a starter? What if what if something happens there where I'm needing him in my lineup, but I can't have him, and I've already taken the Rice thing, and he's going to accept a settlement, and so he's going to miss the first 6 weeks. That's where the Rice thing does come into play. And so if I don't stick the landing on this draft, come what may with it, but I actually feel pretty good about exploring it the way that I am, because until you do this, you can't know how it would feel. But I can bet you this, when I'm drafting on August 29th I think I've got the 5 in that league, so it's not too different from where I am tonight. Although I would have had Barkley instead of Lamb, and maybe it's a completely different approach than the 0 RB that I'm taking. But on August 29th, when I'm drafting that league, and I'll screen record and then post a video recap of that one too, which I think will be cool because the NFL doesn't start till September 4th. You've still got like 4 or 5 days that people could be drafting. I did it last year. It got like 30,000 views. This year it'll get 12 views, but whatever. I'm looking at it going, oh, remember when I did that mock draft and I didn't like how my team turned out as much when I felt like I had to take Olave over Igbuka. I felt like I had to do XYZ because I had to account for when Rashee Rice would be missing. Like, that's sort of what I'm glad about when I do a mock like this. Because Lamb, Bowers, Lamar Jackson, Tetairoa, and even the Rice pick, I felt really good about. But then I wasn't as ready when it came to the Olave pick. Because, hey, Addison goes, Odunze goes, what do? You gotta think on your feet. All right, I've got a full complement of receivers right now. I could start looking at running back. I don't know what to make of DeAndre Swift. Tell me in the chat. Are we in on DeAndre Swift or are we not? Because I'm not, but he is sitting there. And receiver-wise, there's just not a lot for me. It's too early for me to go Judkins, and I'd rather take the running back for a team that I think is going to have a really good offense than the running back for a team that I'm not convinced will. And Tyrone Tracy was the other running back I was considering. But I'd rather say, like, all right, let's think about this mechanically. Forget the player. Forget what you think about DeAndre Swift. Look at it from the perspective of, I'm a believer in the Bears offense. Somebody's going to be their starting running back. I can get that player in the middle of the 7th round. Okay, done. Roschon Johnson has been banged up. Kyle, I don't even know how to say his name, the Rutgers kid. Maybe he emerges. But, like, it feels as though Swift, although he's unimpressive as a player, I think he's enough to keep a good 60 to 65% role in that offense. And what if it's more? You know, that's the other part that's interesting. Although, hold on. Let me do a little super sleuthing here because I've not thought much about it yet at all. Like DeAndre Swift, I haven't thought about him. I haven't drafted him in one singular mock, but I haven't often really committed to a full 0 RB. But what I was wondering, and is now confirmed to me, Ben Johnson was around with the Lions for a while. And, like, there was surely some crossover there, right? Yeah, he had spent some time with DeAndre Swift. And the Lions basically said, get him out of here, and we don't care what it takes. Just get him out of here because we're going to draft Jahmyr Gibbs, and we're moving on this way. So, yeah, I would say that the more I think about that, the more I think maybe draft the backup running backs in Chicago and not DeAndre Swift. But again, I think it's a volume-based play, not a bet on the player. It's a bet on the offense and a bet on even if Swift loses some work, he'll get to play some. Would I do it again? No. But I did it here. But this is why we do it, so we can talk through this kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, Jaylen Warren would have been an okay pick. I will say this about 0 RB. Joe Mixon is still on the board, and I don't like him one bit. But I could see it if I squint. And here's the part where it's like, how much do I want to lean into a risk? Travis Etienne is the player I'm looking at here, and we'll see if he's available for my pick. He could very well just be is very similar to Swift, actually, almost identical in the way I feel about both players. I don't think either are particularly good, but they might have good roles on offenses that I like, or they might be the guys that get replaced at running back on offenses that I like. The other guy that I could take and won't make it back to me, I think, middle of the 9th is Charbonnet. So let's just take him because I'd rather bet on the player that I want on my team. That's a classic case of just, look, is it a little bit of a reach? Is it a little bit of a question mark? Yeah. Do you want the guy on your team, though? Yeah, I'd rather have Charbonnet than Mixon or Etienne. So call it good. He's going to get work, and he can be my RB2 for week 1 in this kind of build. We had one Trevor complimenting the other Trevor's draft, the Diggs pick. I think Diggs was a good value where you took him, and he's your flex, or Jaden Reed is your flex. So you got it going on there. I think, again, my draft would be much more comfortable if I had done the Flowers pick, just because I've been chasing to catch up on running back. But I still don't have a week 1 flex if Rashee Rice takes a plea deal. Not a plea deal, but if they settle and he's suspended to begin the year instead of waiting for September 30th. So, that's where I'm spending this round going, I'm 0 RB, catch up on running back. Didn't really need to. Probably could have looked down the board at wide receiver a little bit more. Could have taken Jaden Reed. That's the only wide receiver that's since gone off. I'm looking at the other ones. I don't like a lot of them. Godwin, Jawan Jennings. We've talked about Downs, Pittman. Not really big on drafting Ayuk in this spot where I need somebody for my lineup potentially week 1. We know he's not going to be that. Mixon finally goes. Yeah, Trevor's like, yeah, whatever you're saying, I'm happy to scoop up these running backs that have, like ETN and Mixon in the 8th, 9th turn. That there's a world where that looks really good. And I mean really good. Because you don't really need him. You've drafted a bunch of running backs I hate, but you got good value on him so that you've got the best quarterback in football. Chase, JSN, McLaurin at receiver in PPR. There's a lot to like about that Team 1 draft over there. We know we're going to come up a little bit more empty, but nobody is going to look at a 0 RB build and say that's an A grade. Like, that's a great job. I was close to doing it. Would I feel better about Igbuka over Olave? Yes, but I think the lineup might have needed somebody. But, don't overthink that. I think if I went back and re-ranked, I might feel like Igbuka does go above Olave. Okay, I'm up to bat here. We do need some wide receiver assistance. Talk about leaning in maybe on the Bears, though. There is a fellow still on the board that I do quite enjoy. Let's take him, because what if he's him? What if he's him? That's all I'm saying. Yeah, Trevor explaining the Brian Robinson pick. A trade for him is almost better than not at this point. And where you're getting him in the 9th round, that's another kind of 0 RB pick that if he would have been there in the 9th, let's say for me, and I had gone maybe not Swift in the 7th round, but maybe let's say I had done like Keon Coleman in the 7th, or if Golden would have fallen to me or Diggs would have fallen to me, and I add that receiver to make up for the Rashee Rice thing, and I go Charbonnet in the 8th, then the 9th round, then it's like you hold your nose and you say he's probably going to have a shot somewhere, and that's a great 0 RB kind of pick. Yeah, it's weird. Trevor said I'm confused. It's weird. I'm just mostly not paying attention to it because I'm like, Krosky Merritt is probably someone that should be drafted, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. I'm not going to go too, but I just don't know. And how valuable is the running back on Washington anyway if Jaden Daniels is running in touchdowns? I don't know. Yeah, I took LB3, Cody. Had to do it. I haven't been reading as much of the chat. Yeah, Trevor, you mentioned it earlier about never forget Ben Johnson was part of the staff that shipped Swift out of Detroit. You mentioned that in the chat on YouTube. I wasn't looking at it, but I had the same thought as you were probably typing that. I was like, wait a second. I was like Charlie Day at the whiteboard. Like, wait a second. So I probably wouldn't take Swift again. But again, the receivers that went thereafter, I'm just not crazy. Like, it would probably have been Jaden Higgins, actually. Yeah, if Brian Robinson's traded to Houston, that's the best case scenario for Brian Robinson and probably for Houston. But if everybody is actually this obsessed with JCM, why is he still going in the 9th round? Like, shouldn't he be in like the Tyrone Tracy range? But that's because we just don't really know for sure. Good news is I don't have a draft for another week. My first draft is a week from today. It's an auction super flex. Appreciate you guys for joining the stream. Those who have done so, would you please hit a like on the video and subscribe on the channel, because that is the way we can build the channel up. Appreciate you guys. 250 total views. Last night it was like close to 500, which was awesome, but I will still say that this is well worth our time. All right, you're starting to snap my guys, you jerks. Trey Benson. In theory, though, or in reality, like I do this differently, right? If Trey Benson's a guy that I like, push him up and take him at the burden pick. Don't have Swift. Take a receiver there. Like, this has really helped me figure out if I want to do 0 RB, there is a way to do it. There is absolutely a way to do it. Is Braylon Allen still out there? If he's not, I am boned 6 ways to Sunday. He's right there. Why couldn't I find him? I was like, I'm pretty sure he's there. I must have spelled his name wrong or something. It wasn't loading. I barely got that in time. Yeah, once Benson went, I was like, well, I don't think I've seen Braylon Allen go. So there you go. We got 3 running backs. One of them is not going to play. That makes me want to draft even more backups in Chicago because of the Swift-Ben Johnson thing. Trevor says the problem with Bill is he's sharing a backfield with Eckler, Rodriguez, Daniels, McNichols. It's just going to be hard for him to get there at these prices. And, again, Jaden Daniels. Well, you said that. You said Jaden Daniels. But that's the biggest one of them all to me, because Jaden Daniels is going to he's going to take fantasy points away from everybody else, because he's going to run for 40 yards, and then they're in the red zone. There's nobody to get those PPR points that gets them there. There's nobody to get the receiving yards that gets him there, the rushing yards that gets him there. It's just all goes to Jaden Daniels, which is why I like him just as much as Lamar. This time I took Lamar because, I don't know, ADP. There's no real... I wish I had taken Jaden Daniels, because then I wouldn't have felt so much regret or guilt about the no Zay Flowers thing. But, man, CeeDee Lamb, Tetairoa McMillan, Rashee Rice, Olave is really still very good. I just don't know about Olave. I like him. I need to know that the guy throwing him the ball is going to be able to sustain him. And that's what I can't say I know for sure. That's what scares me. And I know that I'm missing 6 to 8 games with Rice. So at that point, I'm a little bit lean at receiver. And yet I'm probably not taking one here. Let me... All right, let me dig in. Is there a receiver? Like, Christian Kirk is actually a good fit for my team. Yeah, he's a good fit for my team. Did that say ADP in like the 140s? Okay. Yeah, ADP is kind of all over the place on Sleeper. Like, we're way past pick 88 right now, aren't we? And Goff is still sitting there? Yeah, we're like into pick 120, 130. Jonnu Smith shouldn't be listed where he's listed. Kyle Pitts hasn't been taken, but I went early tight end, so I don't care about that. Yeah, it's mostly just quarterbacks here. And this is a sharper room that's going to push quarterback if it didn't take one early. The Team 7 just took a backup, but, Caleb Williams in the 11th is reasonable. They're going to burn Trevor, but Trevor's not going to be burned because he can take anybody in the last round and it's still going to be fine. But I would have probably gone Caleb Williams over Jaden Blue. But we'll see. I'll wait to see who he picks at quarterback, because I'm sure he's got somebody he's eyeing. And he's got a really good team. Jefferson, McConkey, J-Mo, Diggs, Reed, Mooney. I don't know about Mooney on the bench, because it's just one of those where, like, what are the circumstances in which I'm going to put him into my lineup? And is Mooney the name that's ever going to build enough value to have legit trade value? Maybe he will, because I do think the Falcons are going to throw the crap out of the ball. Maybe you're taking Penix. I don't know. But you had 5 legit receivers. Chuba Hubbard, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Jaden Blue. Yeah, your running backs are kind of gross, but that's all right. I mean, I'm the one to talk, right? Not as gross as my running backs, but I at least feel like I got what I needed out of... I mean, you took McBride, so we're basically about even at tight end. I got Lamar. You'll get somebody late. I know I took Tetairoa from you, but that's because I pronounce his full name. You only say Tet, which his mama does not like. So, just saying. 3 more picks, and then I am back on the clock here in the 11th. We're going to wrap this thing up with the final 2 rounds. I've got 3 running backs. I've got my 6 receivers. It's all over but the crying. I need to take another running back at least. Probably 2. Unless there's a late receiver that I like to identify. Because a lot of the late receivers, after you get out of this, like, where's the line drawn? It's a lot of bench. I just don't want these guys on my bench. From Shaheed, I mean, Shaheed's fine. Mooney, Keenan Allen, Mims, I kind of like actually a little bit on Mims. Bateman, Christian Kirk, even. I know I took him, but I think I just had to. Because if there's a realm in which I'm starting Christian Kirk week 1. Like if Rice is suspended early, we don't think Burden's on the depth chart yet. Olave, we don't trust the quarterback. You could start Christian Kirk over those guys. But all these guys, Tillman, Palmer, they're not bench receivers to me. I'd rather draft bench running backs at that point. Do we draft Garendo again? No, let's not fade CMC with every pick we make. I thought about Shipley too. Let's take Algier because I think Algier actually has a little bit of standalone value. He's going to play some, and I do think if something should happen to Bijan, which hopefully doesn't, I think Algier is a good type of running back to have for this team. Because, like, let's say Swift is just cut. Let's say, like, worst comes to worst there. Let's say Ken Walker gets healthy and is playing really well. Suddenly I'm like, shoot, I don't have any running backs. I would be starting Braylon Allen and Tyler Algier. So, and like, I guess I just view it differently because Eckler's a perfectly good pick. Your point is that, like, it's PPR. He's going to be the pass catching back. Yes, they're sharing with a lot of guys, but Brian Robinson's going to be on a different team. So you have him. You have Texans starter Brian Robinson. You have Cowboys starter Jaden Blue. You have Eckler, who's going to be playing a good amount for the Commanders. And then you go, you can trade from that. I just wonder how difficult it is to convince your league mates that, like, hey, you want to trade for Houston starter Brian Robinson, who doesn't catch passes, and Austin Eckler, who's not the starter, but he does catch passes. He's a really good second flex. I would rather draft the guys that can turn into more. And, like, even with a injury, Eckler's good if I hadn't drafted all these other running backs and I needed a starter for week 1. On my bench, I'd rather draft Ollie Gordon, Woody Marks, the guys that are coming off the board now. But like I said, can't say you're wrong there. Isaiah Bond is interesting. I don't know if he's going to have value this year, but maybe he does. Like Tesla, Torrey Horton, if he was healthy. Let's just take the Lions kid. I don't know what to make of him, but we'll see. I could have taken Garendo. He goes right off the board after me. The 0 RB thing, man. You're never going to look at it and say, oh, I get an A in this draft. You're never going to look at it and say that, but you're not supposed to. As long as you're getting an A on quarterback, which I do, tight end, which I do, wide receiver, almost. I was very close to getting what I wanted with receiver. Lamb, McMillan, perfect. Rice, largely perfect, but it means that you need those other receivers to be even better. Olave is the linchpin to the team. If he pans out, we're sitting pretty. If he doesn't, we may have some regret. Swift, yeah, I probably do that differently next time. I push it a little bit further. I go Charbonnet, Braylon Allen, Algier, Garendo instead, right? And the wide receiver I get up here instead of Swift is Keon Coleman. Makes me feel a little bit better about the Olave thing. But I'll say, man, I really loved the start here, the first 4 rounds. I don't think I could have done it much better if I'm going to go 0 RB. So I'll go B, B+. I know everybody's going to say B. I'll give somebody a bad grade. Let's be harsh. Let's do it. It won't be this guy, though. Chase, JSN, McLaurin. I like those guys. I like Allen. I like Kelsey. Didn't like your running backs, though. I forgot about that, Trev. I just don't. I'm not going to grade you well, but that's because I hate every running back you took, other than Pollard, at where you took him. Mixon, but again, Mixon ETN, I even said, fair value. I'm never going to take him. Stevenson, I don't get it. He's on the way down. Henderson on the way up. I like Marvin Mims late. B-. B-, but love your first 3 rounds. Fumbled the bag from there. Maybe I should start being harsh to people. Is that what I need on YouTube? People to be like, I don't know, this guy, he's a real jerk, but he grades your draft, and it's kind of funny. Hit that like button if you're right here. Delivery driver says he got an A from the 8 spot. Are you the 8 right now? Oh, okay. I'll grade you in a minute. Bijan, Kyron, love it. James Cook, too many running backs early. Didn't need 3. Certainly didn't need Caleb Johnson when you took him, but that's actually fair. But the problem is when you take those running backs, which are so strong, Garrett Wilson has to catch a ball from Fields, and he's your wide receiver 1. DJ Moore, the backup to Rome Odunze in targets. Jerry Jeudy catching passes from Flacco. Let's do it that way. I want to grade everybody's team and roast it. I think that would have been funnier. Let me know in the chat if that's how I should do it for tomorrow's live stream. Well, actually, if I do it tomorrow, it's starting at midnight because I bowl on Thursdays. Also, I have a draft during bowling tomorrow. I forgot about that. Going to have to do that for my phone. And it's an auction. Good grief, I'm a mess. And that's a real draft. I just, C+. Sorry, Micah. I just think the receivers are not going to hold up for PPR. See, I can be harsh. No B for Micah. I'm looking for reasons now to not give people a B since everybody made fun of me for how many Bs I gave out last time. Gibbs Jacobs, if you're going to start that way, you better do what you did at receiver, and you did it. Harrison, Worthy, Sutton, Pearsall, don't really get the Myers pick at that point. I would look for a rookie with more upside, but not looking at it, I don't really know who is available. Golden, yeah, that would have probably been my pick. Some people love drafting Dobbins and Chubb, and I just do not. But you did a very typical draft of what I would do if I were going double hero RB. It's like draft 2, don't draft another one until the double-digit round at running back. Get those 5 receivers so you're ready to go with a PPR league, and then you can tidy up quarterback and tight end. I think you got decent value at all those spots. You do actually get a B. Maybe close to a B+. Trevor went Jettas, McConkey, J-Mo, Diggs, and Reed. Very good 5-man quarterback or receiver group. Don't love the running backs, but I understand that you're going to end up with 2 that you can play and play successfully. Chuba Jones is fine. I just question that, okay, Brian Robinson gets traded to the Texans. So what? You going to play him over Aaron Jones? You going to play Jaden Blue, even if he's getting good work with the Cowboys? Maybe. That one I can get behind. Not the Eckler part, because I just don't think he fits your team. You already have guys that are safe like a Chuba and Aaron Jones, and you've got the Texans starting running back as well. I don't get the Eckler part, but because if you were starving for, I just need an RB2, I'm really going to need one at some point. I don't think you will. I think you had plenty of safety before that. But the receivers are legit. McBride was a good pick. We both love Drake May. B+. It could have been an A if you would have done better with the bench running backs. But again, you knew that drafting Robinson would be gross. It was about getting him at the value that you got him. Wait a second. Is this real? How did I not notice that Jonathan Taylor fell to the middle of the 3rd? Holy crap. Okay, so Saquon Barkley and Chase Brown are the 2 running backs, and he's got Taylor in his flex. Adam Smith, Igbuka are the receivers, and you can start Golden over Igbuka if you had to. You could start Pittman over both of them if you had to as a rookie, like week 1 I'm talking. You were getting crazy value everywhere. Low Cole, I draft from the 5 in a real draft. I hope and pray that those names like Jonathan Taylor in the 3rd are falling to me. Holy smokes. And for how, I ripped on Micah for going 3 RB because you just don't need to do it in PPR. But for how aggressively you pursued running backs, to go Adam Smith, Igbuka, that might play. I'm a wide receiver honk, but that's going to play. Bigsby, Shipley are the right type of running backs on your bench. You got Loveland and Bo Nix. That's probably just That's an A minus only because I want you to be strong. That's probably just an A. Like, you took advantage. You weren't afraid to take your third running back, even though it was stylistically going to be a little bit weird for PPR. Low Colt, if you're listening, well done. That shocked me. I did not notice that Jonathan Taylor I was in my own little world thinking about Lamar Jackson and what I was going to do. I didn't even notice that almost was something I could have done. I would have taken Taylor there too if I would have seen him at top ADP. Man, that's crazy value. And then, like, now you start to contextualize Adams differently too. You're like, yeah, he's old, but he also might be a guy that should be going at the 2-3 turn instead of middle of the 4th round. Smith is a very good pick in the 5th. Igbuka was the right pick in the 6th. I partially allowed this to happen. I'll take Tetairoa over Adams, and I didn't get a chance coming the other way. He took Smith from me over Rice. That's fine. Olave over Igbuka. I should have gone Igbuka. I'll acknowledge that. Taylor, that's all y'all. I didn't have anything to do with the Taylor thing. I couldn't stop him. Chase Brown, I could have stopped him. That was a really good draft. I love my first 5 picks. 0 RB, I think I did okay with it, but it's probably just about a B. I would still make the playoffs, don't get me wrong. And if I do make the playoffs, it becomes an A draft because I'm dangerous with this top 5. But, yeah, I could have done a little better. Nico Evans Hunter, like the first 3, can't probably wait that long to have a wide receiver for. Bucky Irving, Marion Hampton, and Judkins isn't a flex either, so you're really looking for a flex. Benson, that's more of a, I like some of the players. That's a C plus B minus, though. Yeah, I don't know. You got Burrow, good, having a backup in Caleb Williams. I just think there's too much there that I'm not sure I'm excited to use. Evans, Judkins, Jennings. If I'm wrong about those guys, I'm wrong about your draft, but I'm not totally crazy. Here we go. The delivery driver said he got an A. Let's see if he's right. Neighbors, Higgins, Pickens, Addison. Yes, so far so good. You pushed and got Mahomes in the 8th round. That's good. I don't care about Njoku. I think that's a wasted pick because you took Ferguson later. Like, who could you have had if you hadn't taken Njoku? It kind of got to be lean at that point, didn't it? Downs is probably the answer, and that would be your 6-packet receiver. Toot and Sampson are the right running backs to pick for your team. Tracy is the right running back 3 to pick for your team. I'm impressed. You talked a lot of smack about you're going to be an A grade. Oh, I'm going to give you an A minus, and it's only because of the Njoku pick. I think if you had gone Downs over Njoku, but you didn't know you were going to get Ferguson that late. Hell, Kyle Pitts was available there too. That would have been really another way to endear yourself to the teacher here. Like, you could have even said Godwin in the 9th. He's going on IR for me, and I'm going to pick up a guy off waivers. That's a really good draft from the 8. It really is. I love Neighbors. H.N. Henderson is really solid. Tracy, in case the Patriots are being stupid, you can say, well, Tracy's going to get volume early. Maybe Henderson is not getting it early, but I think he probably will. Yep, you're right. You got an A- grade on your hands. That's a very good draft. Might be the best one so far. Just a couple of tweaks I would make personally, but very good. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Higgins, Downs, Hollywood, and Efton Chisholm. Ken Walker, Harvey, Javonte Spears. You got your Hurts. It's one of those B to B plus drafts. It's a good draft. I like the first 3 receivers. You drafted 7 of them, and I'm not sure I love any of them for your flex, but that's a pretty good look. All right, let's see how this team that went CMC Henry ended up. Okay, you grabbed Daniels because he was there. Made sure to lock in an elite quarterback. The Hill, Ridley, Adunze, Samuel contingent there's some holes to be poked in that. Or it's great. It's very volatile. And then I like Warren. Don't like Scatterbo, but I could be wrong. Just don't like him. Don't think Tillman or Leggett are serving me in the late rounds. I liked a couple tight ends you grabbed. Yeah. There's risk here. I mean, you're talking Henry. Shoot, let's start at the top. CMC, Henry, Tyreek, and Debo. And I don't know how old Ridley is, but he's not a spring chicken anymore. That's a little bit of risk there, but it's still a very good group of players, B+. Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Shakir, Godwin. Okay, so you're not starting a receiver in flex until Godwin gets back. Kittle, the running backs are Connor, Pacheco, Montgomery, and so you can start all three of those guys. One of them can be your flex. Get by with that. Mason, just a little too RB heavy for me for PPR. I'll go B-. Don't love the bench as much as, I'm not a big bench fan. Yeah, B- for me. In the last one here of the night, Genty, Breece Hall, Krosky Merritt, Ray Davis. Of course, you drafted the Kentucky running back. See, I remembered these things. Brian Thomas, Metcalf, Waddle, Coleman, Kupp, Ayuk, Kyle Williams. There's a lot of receivers there. Some of them old, some of them young, some of them Steelers. Goff paired with Laporta. You backstacked it that way. That's pretty good. Kind of feels like in a world where Breece keeps getting pushed to the fourth and sometimes fifth, I'm almost penalizing you because I know that Breece Hall can be had later. But there's only one Breece Hall in this draft. It's not a best ball tournament, so I can't punish you for that. You went with the homer pick of Metcalf. Whereas, who else would you have taken if not for being a Steelers fan? Like, you could have gone Zay Flowers or Hunter. Or no, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, you could have gone Tyreek Hill over Metcalf. McMillan over Metcalf. Yeah, that's kind of going to dock you a little bit, but still like a high B. Probably B+. Yeah, because Genty, Breece Hall is going to be pretty dangerous. Brian Thomas, Waddle. Good little lion stack with Laporta. You've got some options for flex. It's like that 87%. I don't know if that's a B or a B+, but that's what you scored. This was a blast, everybody. That's going to be the last mock of the night. We got 40 viewers as we leave here. Hit like on your way out. Hit that subscribe button on your way out. I will read the YouTube comments. I will read them right now, and then we'll be done. Jeremy says James Cook is going to be a bust. Yeah, he was taken earlier than, and that's why I gave Micah C+. If I already got two great running backs, I'm not picking James Cook in the third. Trevor said I will self-grade C- at best. No, Trevor had a good draft. Shoot. I'm sorry. I didn't realize my face was still covering some of the board for everybody. Let me open it up so you can see Trevor's team. No, I thought Trevor had a good draft. Who are we talking about? Touchdown regression. Oh, we're talking about James Cook. Low Colt. Yeah, you've been crushing it. Jeremy says, in my opinion, I foresee him not scoring as many touchdowns, so I don't see the points. But maybe he'll do the same thing. Yeah, you're right. I had James Cook last year, and every week it felt like he shouldn't be scoring fantasy points, and he kept scoring fantasy points until I was like, I have to trade him. Because if you actually watch Bills games, you're like, oh, man, I'm really fortunate that he happened to be in on the touchdown play because they rotate running backs so dang much. At least they did last year. I agree, though. He's going to have some regression on TD. He's not a target of mine. I like James Cook, but he's not a target of mine in drafts at all. 12-team Dynasty Superflex tight end premium. Trade away Lamb for Rice, and then 3 first-round picks in 26, 7, and 8. No name. I would need to know more information. Whose picks are you getting? Is that team a playoff team usually? Is that a bottom-feeding team usually? It's hard to trade CeeDee Lamb, but that's a big haul. I normally don't value like picks in 27 and 28 very highly, but 27 is that Ryan Williams draft. And so if you were to say, is there a chance I could get Ryan Williams or remind me, what's the other kid's name? Jeremiah Smith. Jeremy says, if you can't compete to win right now, I would do it unless you're trading one of the top 5 teams in your league. Yeah, if you're trading, which he probably is, that's why the guy is willing to give up his picks because he probably doesn't think they're worth very much. But you've got Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith. I do oftentimes trade my 2027 picks, but that's because I know that I'm never going to be at the top of the round anyway. If I'm going to get one of those Smith or Ryan Williams picks, I'm just going to have to trade legit pieces for it. Yeah, Trevor, the running backs are gross. I'm glad you agree. I thought you were going to defend yourself on the on the running backs thing. All right, so in fairness, Trevor gets more of a B. That's fine. I love me some LB3. I draft him most of the time. Yeah, I do in these mocks because of what Trevor said. It feels like a gross range. And, like, I'm never going to feel sad clicking Luther. If he doesn't work out, whatever. He's a Mizzou guy, and I at least had fun on the way. Imagine if it does work out and he's on my fantasy team. I'd have him in one dynasty, so that's good. Are we talking about Judkins? Too many question marks. Still not signed. Facing a suspension. He could still be suspended by the NFL. It's happened before with drop cases. Yeah, he has to sign before they can even get their hands on him. Judkins is going way, 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 way too high. Because this is a stream that I do for advice more so than like for my own benefit, I would not be taking Quinshon Judkins where I've seen him go tonight, personally. I much prefer Dylan Sampson at ADP. Matt says 12 teams PPR. Murray, Fields, Gibbs, Bucky, Pacheco, Mason, Charbs, Tootin, Higgins, Marvin, Waddle, Debo, Tillman, Kincaid. Is it Superflex? You said 12-team PPR, so I'm going to assume it's not. Gibbs, Bucky is a great start. And is this Dynasty or is this probably for just this year? Probably just this year. Marvin, Waddle, Higgins. No, it's a good team. That's a good team for sure. You got 2 good running backs, 3 good receivers, a little bit iffy on the flex spot, but I like the names that have a chance to emerge. I'll go like it's at 87% again, Matt. That's the same thing. That is the same thing as we always get to. Okay, to correct it at the end, we've got 22 likes on stream, and the final follower count for the night, or subscriber count, is, drumroll please, 1451. So I'll update that just for posterity. I wish it was 140,000 or whatever I had typed there. And 22 likes. Just like to have that for the end so we know what we did, what we accomplished, and the friends we made along the way. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the stream tonight. Appreciate it. Tomorrow, bug me about it in the Discord. I'll drop the Discord once more. That's where all the fantasy stuff is posted first. So if you want to have the first opportunity to get into the next live stream, it's not going to be found on YouTube. It'll be found first on Discord. I may try it another way at some point if I think it will help viewership, but traditionally, until the last couple of days, we haven't always immediately snapped and filled it with 12, and now it's getting real easy to fill because people are starting to catch on to the rhythm of what we're doing. So just be in that Discord in the fantasy or the mock draft area of that Discord. I just posted the link in the chat. 23 likes. Now it's 25. You guys were holding out on me the whole time. You could have done it earlier is all I'm saying. 2-hour stream, though, that is kind of crazy to think about. That was attractive. No wonder I'm coughing so much. I've been talking for 2 hours. But hey, appreciate you guys for joining me. Hopefully this gets us toward our 4,000 hours of watch content, because we did a bunch of stuff last August, September, and then not a lot. So we're gonna try to keep this going all year this time. Thank you guys. Appreciate it always. And we'll talk to you next time. Again, tomorrow, it'll be late at night if it happens, because I do have my bowling league. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time on the stream. Peace.